Self-reliant, true story of courage, choice, and breaking chains. Chapter 1. Born into silence year. 1993. V was born in a small Hmong village deep in the countryside of Laos. There was no electricity, no internet, no cars, no motorbikes, not even a bicycle path. Only a narrow dirt road, barely wide enough for one person to walk through. The village was quiet. At night, the only light came from the moon and small oil lamps. The only sound was the wind in the trees and the distant call of wild birds. V's family had 7 people. Her parents, 1 older sister, 2 younger brothers, 1 younger sister, and herself. They lived in a simple wooden house on stilts, surrounded by rice fields and dense forest. Life was hard. But for V, the hardest part was not the poverty. It was something invisible, something older than the mountains around her village. Chapter 2. The weight of tradition in Hmong culture. Daughters carry a heavy burden, but not the kind you can see. The belief was simple and cruel. A daughter will marry and leave. She will belong to her husband's family. She will serve them, obey them, and forget her own parents. So why invest in her? V's parents followed this belief strictly. They did not want to support their daughter's education or future. Why waste time and money on someone who would eventually become another family's servant? Her older sister was the first victim of this tradition. She was pulled out of school very early. She never learned to read or write Lao. She never learned to count beyond her fingers. She spent her days working in the rice fields, carrying water, cooking, and caring for her younger siblings. V watched this happen, and something inside her whispered, "That will not be me." Chapter 3. A different mind. V was born a girl. According to tradition, she would share her sister's fate. But V thought differently. She looked at the rules of her culture and asked quietly in her heart, who made these rules? Why must daughters sacrifice everything? Why can't a daughter love both families? Why is it fair for sons to be supported but not daughters? She had no answer, and she knew she could not change centuries of tradition overnight. But she also knew one powerful truth. I cannot change the culture, but I can change myself. That realization became her first weapon. Chapter 4. The decision that changed everything. When V was 8 years old, her parents told her the same thing they had told her older sister. You don't need school. Stay home, help with the farm. When you are older, we will find you a husband. Most girls in her village would obey, but V did something unthinkable. She said no, not loudly, not with anger, but with quiet, unshakable determination. She decided, I will continue my education, even if no one helps me, even if I have to do it alone. And from that day forward, she became her own parent, her own teacher, and her own supporter. Chapter 5. The daily battle at 8 years old, V created her first life plan, a daily schedule that would exhaust even a key adult time activity early. Morning help with farm work before school daytime attend. School, walking kilometers each way. Afternoon work in other people's. Rice fields for small money evening study by oil lamp night sew. Paj and thiab, traditional Hmong embroidery, to sell late night practice Lao and English. With a tutor when she could afford it, she had no weekends. No holidays, no childhood play, but she also had no complaint. Every stitch she sewed, every field she worked, every hour she studied, she was building a bridge out of her village. Chapter 6. The silent struggle. By the time V finished high school, she was 18 years old. She had no phone, no computer, no internet. When her classmates used technology to research and learn, V used the library. She read books for hours. Some weekends, she read from sunrise until her tongue hurt from moving silently as she read. She was often hungry, often tired, often alone, but she never stopped. Her parents watched her with confusion. They did not understand why she worked so hard when she could simply marry a rich man and be taken care of. But V understood something they did not. If everything depends on a man, if he feeds me, I eat. If he gives, I receive. If he stops loving me, what happens to me? She knew the answer. Nothing. She would have nothing. She would be nothing, and she refused to live that way. Chapter 7. The conversation that nearly broke her. After high school, her mother sat her down. V, you are grown enough to marry. You don't need more education. Find a rich man. Marry him. Everything he has will be yours. V listened quietly. Then she asked herself the question that saved her life. Is everything he has really mine? If one day he stops loving me and kicks me out, what will I have? The answer was clear. Nothing. She looked at her mother and said, I will not marry now. I will continue my education. Her mother did not understand. Her father was angry. The village whispered, but V had already chosen her path. Chapter 8. The University Years, 2011. In 2011, V moved to Vientiane capital to attend university. She had no family support, no financial safety net, no backup plan. She worked to pay for her tuition. She studied to earn her degree. She survived on her own, still no phone, still no computer, still only notebooks and library books. Classmates had laptops and smartphones. V had paper and a pencil, but she also had something they didn't: unbreakable will. She visited the library every free moment. She read English books until her eyes burned. She practiced pronunciation alone in empty rooms. She never saw her struggles as problems, only as stairs she had to climb. Chapter 9. The graduation years later. V stood on a stage. She had graduated university with grade A, the highest possible score. She had done what no one in her village believed a daughter could do. She returned to her parents' house. They were surprised, maybe even impressed, but they were not truly happy. V was not angry. She understood. They were raised by the culture. They did not know another way. I cannot blame them for what they were taught. She did not need their happiness. She had her own. Chapter 10. Marriage. But not surrender. 2 years after graduation, V got married. She chose a man who worked at the same place as her. An equal, a partner, not a master. But unlike most Hmong daughters, V did not disappear into her husband's family. She continued to visit her own parents. She brought them food. She gave them money. She loved them openly, without guilt, without shame, without apology. She proved that a daughter can love both families. She proved that marriage does not mean forgetting where you came from. Chapter 11. The final proof years passed. V's parents grew old. Her brothers and sister could not care for them, busy with their own lives, their own struggles. So V did something extraordinary. She built a beautiful house, and she brought her parents to live with her, not out of obligation, not out of guilt, but out of love. The same parents who had not supported her education, the same parents who had wanted her to quit school and marry young. She took them in. She fed them. She cared for them. She proved something powerful. A daughter does not have to follow every culture or rule. She only has to do what is right, without destroying anyone else's life. Up to her. 12. The meaning of self-reliant V's story is not about rejecting her culture. It is about choosing what to keep and what to let go. She kept respect for her parents' love for her family, pride in her Hmong identity. She let go of the belief that daughters are less valuable, the rule that daughters must sacrifice everything for their husband's family, the tradition that education is wasted on girls. She became self-reliant, not because she hated her culture, but because she loved herself enough to think differently. Final chapter. A message for every daughter V's life is proof that you are not born into a destiny. You build your own. You can love your family and still choose your own path. You can respect tradition and still question it. You can be a daughter, a wife, a mother, and still be your own person. V did not follow the culture. She did not fight it either. She simply walked her own road and proved that a daughter's worth is not decided by ancient rules. It is decided by her courage, her choices, and her unwillingness to give up. The end. Self-reliance is not about doing everything alone. It is about knowing that you can.